To our member spotlight series today, I am joined by Mr. Richard Miller from Crisp & Co, who is a member of BNI Storm, one of the top 10 chapters in the country.
Yeah.
But maybe if you can start by telling us a little bit about how you ended up in BNI and your BNI journey thus far.
Well, I was invited by another member, so I work very closely in my business with Tim Ash from Trace Elements Media. And Tim just happened to say to me one day when I was in his edit suite, he said, do you do networking? I said, oh, I haven't done for a while. No. And he said, well, would you like to come to breakfast? So I did. And it's been almost 2 years.
Wow. What has been the biggest surprise that you have found in being a BNI member?
Yeah, that's a good question. I answer that one a lot. The biggest surprise has been that my takeaway from it has been less about money and more about relationships.
Yeah.
Because I think most people join BNI to make money and to transact money. But the more important takeaway for me has been business relationships, but also friendships.
Yeah.
And it surprised me that was going to happen.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I know I joined because there was money on the table.
Yeah.
And then I ended up with a business family, and I hadn't banked on that. It's come in very handy, but I hadn't banked on it.
It's almost like your personal Yellow Pages.
It really
directory.
is. Yeah. And actually that brings me to an interesting point. So I often say that BNI members end up being the centre of influence in their wider networks for that reason, because they have that little black BNI book in their pocket. What has been the most interesting challenge you've solved for a client with being that centre of influence, being able to reach out to the wider network?
Interesting. Are you talking about a client of mine from within the business that I've helped, a BNI member's helped with?
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
That's a really good question. Don't know.
You can have thinking time.
Yeah.
So we're going to cover it all together, so it's all good.
An interesting thing that I've solved. Wow, okay.
Doesn't have to necessarily be a client, but what's a problem you've solved for someone or been able to solve because you've been able to literally push the button on a contact?
Well, actually, yeah. I mean, we all know that getting tradespeople is pretty difficult.
Yeah.
So whenever anyone within my close circle of friends or family have needed something done, I've literally been able to get it done really quickly because BNI members don't want to let other BNI members down, and they will make you a priority.
Absolutely.
So my mother-in-law had issues with her plumbing. The guy was there the day after. Yeah. That kind of thing, which often with trades you would find difficult, but with BNI, because we look after each other, that the service, you become more of a priority for service. Yeah,
no, that makes sense.
Yeah.
What has been the most entertaining thing that BNI has brought to your doorstep?
Well, the events are good.
Yeah.
We always have good fun with the events. And I probably made one of my greatest business contacts outside of BNI at a BNI event. Yeah. So I bumped into Andrew Achille at an event that was a BNI event. Okay. And since then we've worked together.
Yeah, and quite successfully.
Very successfully, yeah.
So Crisp & Co actually is a bit of a centre of influence in the advertising industry, because obviously you have such a diverse range of experience with Andrew, yourself, and Siobhan. What do you feel that you bring to your BNI members from that perspective? So what are some of the skills that you've brought into the room?
People often, it's like when you have your car serviced and you take it in there and people say, and while it's there, can you just? Yeah. When you have a professional service skill, people will often lean on you for advice. Yeah. And certainly during COVID, we volunteered that. The stuff that we might normally charge for, we said to everyone, look, if you need any help with business planning or marketing planning or objectives, or even just to find a unique selling proposition for your business, let us help you with that, because we need everyone to be successful. Yeah. So we did that during COVID, and for other BNI members during the journey, we've helped to create new business names and concepts and strap lines and logos and all the stuff that we do. But it was fulfilling to be able to do that for people without even considering a dollar attached to it during this period.
How do you think your BNI, I suppose, network has supported your business through COVID? because I know like every business is challenged, particularly post-lockdown as we come out of this.
Yeah.
It's interesting to reflect.
Yeah. I know that if anyone needed anything to be done that we can do, they would have used us.
Yeah.
I'm pretty confident of that.
Yeah.
And we have done a fair bit of work with BNI members during COVID. Probably not as much as we might have, but we have. And I know that they would use us if there was jobs to be done. And we sort of diversified our business very, very slightly by offering discounted graphic design and all that kind of thing. And people just took us up on it. You know, even if maybe they didn't quite need it, they just say yeah because they wanted to throw us a bone. And I felt that, and it was nice.
Yeah, so, no, that makes sense. Yeah. What would you say to somebody who was in marketing or advertising who was looking at visiting a BNI chapter? What kinds of things do they need to know?
Well, first, they don't come to mine.
Well, they're locked out.
I think that it's really important to understand that your direct BNI members aren't necessarily your clients.
Yeah.
Because in our industry, you know, we obviously target CEOs and people like that. And in BNI chapters, there are one-man bands and there are tradespeople that might never use our services. But I've had a lot of referrals from the trades and people like that to CEOs of companies that have eventually become clients. So you've got to consider BNI members to be a referral source, not a client.
Absolutely, and that's really good advice. So I think in looking at that, who has been the person that has surprised you the most by passing you a referral that you didn't expect?
Stephen Pisani.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was for himself.
Ah.
So we've just come back from Port Pirie.
Yeah.
Siobhan and I. So we designed a new brand pyramid for Stephen for his business, and he's been on a reinvention, I suppose, with his business, and he's had some managerial issues in the last couple of years, which he's fixed, and he wants to reinvent himself, and he asked us to get involved with him to reevaluate his brand, and then we did that. We drew a new brand pyramid for him, a new strapline, and we were invited to go and visit the team in Pirie last week, which we did, and we've just actually sent him the first versions of a new logo, web design, all that kind of stuff. You don't expect to be dealing with accountants.
Well, you don't, and established accountants, generally you don't expect them to go through a rebrand process.
No, and he's got a very established and successful business in Port Pirie, but he's trying to make that be in Adelaide now as well, so that's our assistance.
Yeah, and I suppose it's a testament to the credibility that you've built in the room.
I hope so, yeah. When a member themselves want to work with you, that's good. Yeah,
absolutely. Have you had cause to access like a wider network in terms of BNI? So obviously there's nearly 400 members in South Australia. There's over 6,000 in Australia. So have you had anything to do with members interstate or globally at all?
No, not well. Obviously, we did the conference last year in Melbourne and met a fair few people there. We have worked with other BNI members within South Australia. We do our podcast with Tim Allen. And we, in fact, I'm about to ring Steve Willis to do some copywriting for me and things like that. So there's other members of other chapters that we've worked with, and he's done some work for us, and photographers and the like.
Cool. What's your one tip for new players to the BNI game? What's the one thing you wish someone had told you in your first couple of months?
It's really corny, but the giver's gain thing is unbelievably true. I think it's really important not to expect to really make anything financially from it, even in the first 12 months, like you will. But if you expect not to, and you focus more on helping other members out, it will come back tenfold.
Absolutely. Well, Mr. Miller, thank you very much for joining me on the Red Chairs. If you want to visit Richard Miller and you're not a marketing or advertising consultant, you will find the link to visit his chapter in the comments below in the video or on the BNI Adelaide North website. Thanks again.
Thank you.